It's a nice sunny day today. It used to be real cold. Now the sun came up and began to get warm. What we're going to talk about today is that some of the young generation think that doing evil is fun. But we have to sit down and start talking to these young people and let them know that doing negative things is not fun. The end result is going to jail, going to prison, or even getting killed. We need to talk to the young generation about doing evil things. They learn this from TV, they learn this from the internet, they learn this from their friends, and they also learn this from, believe it or not, family members. So we have to start talking to the young generation about still doing non-constructive things, which we call evil. We have to teach them how to start doing constructive things in their life, you know. So what we have to do is take time to talk to the young generation and help them. They really need help now because of the situation that we are going through in America. There's no job for the young children. They're having problems in school. They're having problems in relationships. They have all types of problems. And we have to take time and talk to the young generation because they are our future.
It's true. And when Dad says about the amount of trouble that they're getting in, there just seems to be an enormous amount of young males breaking into cars and breaking into houses and doing some thrill seeking type of events that is going to lead to them losing their lives because the older people are now starting to buy more and more guns. And it's not just to protect themselves against, I guess, like racial things, it's also to protect themselves against these young males that are doing very destructive stuff. Some of them are packing guns. Like when they're stealing cars and they're breaking into houses, they have guns. And the next thing you see when they lose their lives is their family members on television crying about, oh, he just needed clothes for school, or oh, he wasn't going to hurt anybody, or we need to get past a lot of that. It's getting kind of really ridiculous. I mean, we talked about on Dad's channel about the women, we talked about the men, and now we're circling around to let's talk about what's happening with our youth.
Yeah, some of the young people that I talk to, they think it's fun to break a car window. They think it's fun to throw a rock and break the neighbor window, somebody's window in the neighborhood. They think it's fun running from a car just for the hell of it. You know, we have to sit down and talk to our young generation and get them involved in positive things, you know. I know some of the things that when I come along with what my parents did, my grandmother, my grandfather, and my mother, they brought me a lawnmower. And I would around the neighborhood and then cut yards for little nothing. And that was pretty good money in my pocket back in those days, you know. So find something constructive for your children to do. Washing the neighbor car. A good job for the young generation. Teach them how to weed, to clean up a bed, to get the weeds out of a bed. You know, they can make a whole lot of money just going through the neighborhood and say, Miss Johnson, Miss Williams, do you need somebody to clean that bed out for you? I'll clean that bed out for you for $15 or $20, you know. And then it would take them around about an hour or two, but that's some money in their pocket.
And it's constructive,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because you're helping the community, especially when there's a lot of boomers, there's older people that can't necessarily go out and do those things. Even the simple thing as raking. I see leaves everywhere in a lot of communities, and I don't see any children out there raking the leaves.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that when I was growing
No,
up.
no. What we used to do, when I first started off, my mom bought me a lawnmower. Then I had my cousin and them to come and help me. Then I gave them a percentage of what I made from the neighbors or the people in the community. And you could start off like that, you know. You could start off with your son, and he could bring aboard his cousin. He could bring other people into the circle, and they could go right round the neighborhood. Some people, especially older people, they have their lawnmowers, in the shed themselves. But they feel like, they getting too old. They can't get out there and cut the yard like they used to. So they have some young person in the neighborhood to get the lawnmower out and cut the yard for them, and they'll still pay them pretty good. Once a month, every 2 weeks on a Saturday or Sunday, or when they get out of school, that's pretty good income for them, and it'll teach them how to be independent and help them stay out of trouble.
My son, when he was 12 through 14 years old, especially during the summer, that's all he did. He had his business cards, and he would be pushing his lawnmower all around the neighborhood, cut different yards. He even had a weed eater, and he also had some clippers.
Yeah, when my grandson came and stayed with me in Miami, I used to pay him to sit in the truck and make sure nobody don't steal nothing off my truck. I gave him a job. So we have to be creative. We got to find a job for the young males, because this situation coming up is very, very crucial. And we got to stop letting other people tell our children they're going to jail is fun. I have met grown men that could talk to you all day long about jail, all day long about going to prison, bragging about who killed who, all this negativity.
Let's not even talk about how they make drugs and alcohol sound like it's fun. And they're talking like that in front of children.
Yeah, some of the guys come in the neighborhood, they be telling the young generation that getting high, drugs, you could get all the young ladies, you could get all this, you could have that, you could have this. Mm-hmm. We have to put a stop to that now. This situation is getting real, real bad in this country.
Critical.
And we have to prepare the young generation to go into the future, the relay race, the future.
Because a lot of them are seeing their parents, their grandparents, their great-grandparents as the reason for them being dysfunctional. You never want your child to point the finger at you and be like, you're the reason why my life is messed up, because you taught me stupid stuff.
Yeah.
You taught me dumb stuff that got me in a lot of trouble to where I could not be productive in society. You taught me dumb stuff that I could not apply, and now I have low self-esteem and don't want to be bothered with you and don't have any respect for you. Because you, as a parent, as an uncle, as an auntie, taught me things that were negative and evil.
Yeah, you can't let your kids sit down and look at TV all day long, all night long. You can't sit down and allow your kids to have a dirty room. You have to do them like they're in the military service, in boot camp. You have to inspect their room, make sure the room clean, make sure that they wash their clothes, mm-hmm. make sure that they know how to iron. Mm-hmm. Get them prepared for the real world. It's not going to be easy. If they get out there and they're handicapped, the world is not going to feel sorry for them. So we have to sit down and talk to our kids. It's very important that we take the time and groom our kids before they leave the bird nest. Groom our kids to the real reality of the world, because this world is nothing to play with.
That's true. And I've never seen so many young people that don't even have their learner's permit for driving. I've never seen so many young people at the age of 18 and 19 don't even have a driver's license. Nobody's taking the time to make sure that they're meeting milestones. Simple stuff. To me, it's simple. My son had his permit at 15. He had his driver's license at 16. And most of these children already know how to drive a car because people are putting them behind the wheel of the car early. So why not take the second step and go ahead and make sure they're legitimate? Make sure that they have their permit and their driver's license, that they understand the rules of the road, and that they're studying the books, in order to be good drivers in their area.
Yeah, you know what my grandfather used to do? My grandfather was in construction. I think I talked to y'all about that in some of the previous videos. And my grandfather used to pay me $5 just to cut the hedges. Now, $5 back in the 50s and the 60s, that was a whole lot of money. Because a soda didn't cost you nothing but a nickel. And you had to cook it for two for a penny. Everything was cheap, and gas was around about, 15 cents a gallon. But my grandfather always had something for me to do. Now, I'm talking to all the males now. If you got a nephew that that he's kind of lazy on the lazy side, go down and talk to your brother or your sister and tell them, say, hey, I want Marvin or John to come down to the house, and I got some work for him to do. If he come down here and do the work, I want to pay him X amount of money, And that's the start. That's the beginning. That's the beginning of how he learned how to work. And when my grandson came down to visit me about 3 to 4 times, 4 years straight, 3 to 4 years straight. When he
during
left,
the summer? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, during the summer. He went back home with I gave him a little extra money, between $600 to $700.
And he learned how to ride a Dixie chopper at the age of 6.
He told me some of his classmates had told him that he didn't make that much money. I said, that's all right. You made that much money, So in closing, please,
But we already talked about the little boys. We didn't say anything about the girls.
Well, that's another video.
But they didn't.
I want to get the boys out the way.
Okay.
We'll talk about the little girls later on.
Okay.
But we want to get the boys out the way.
Okay.
Thank you for taking time to listen to us about the fact that some young people think evil is fun.
The trolling.
Yeah, and we have to get a hold to them and put them on the right path.
Because the consequences are too great for them.
Yeah, too great. Because, one thing, sis, now, I told people back in the 70s that what's going to happen in America for the prison system. Then when they're going to start a contract with third world countries, and they're going to send certain individuals with real bad records over to the third world countries instead of holding them in the United States.
He did say that. Dad predicted that.
And it's gonna be real rough. So y'all please take the time. Thank you for listening to our conversation. Take the time to like and subscribe. We'll really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.